Picture this. It's fall. Chicago suburbs. And a 12-year-old girl, Mary Kellerman, wakes up. Headache.
Happens.
Right. Totally normal. Parents want to help her feel better, so they give her some medicine. You know, just regular. Over-the-counter, Tylenol.
Oh, wow.
And they had no idea this would be the start of this huge panic.
Yeah.
That would change how we look at medicine forever.
It's really hard to imagine the
Yeah.
dare that just spread through the whole nation when news of Mary's death. And then 6 others came out, you know? They were just regular people, everyday people, no connection.
It's scary, just like reaching for something you think is harmless.
Exactly. It's a total shock.
To everyone, welcome to CrimePod Castle's Twisted Crime series. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So today we're diving deep into this case to look at how complex it was, the effects it had. On consumer safety, you might be surprised.
Right. This isn't just some history lesson. It's a story that still matters.
It still matters. All right, so back to the beginning. It's September 1982. Mary Kellerman's death is followed by more. Like Adam Janus, he was a postal worker, 27, collapses and dies after taking Tylenol. And then it gets worse. His brother and sister-in-law, Stanley and Teresa Janus, same thing happens, same model.
Can you imagine just this fear building as these deaths become a pattern? People got scared to take something that they always thought was safe.
It was chaos. Like, what do you even do?
Right. Everyone was on edge.
Right.
So they put together this huge task force, 126 people, FBI, local police, everyone, thousands of leads, so much work.
And still
nothing.
Unsolved.
It's crazy how clever and cruel this person must have been to do this and disappear.
A scary thought. But there were suspects.
Right.
James Lewis and Roger Arnold.
Yeah, but their stories are kind of intriguing, but also don't really give us answers. So first, James Lewis, he sent like a ransom letter to Johnson & Johnson. Said he would stop the killings for $1 million.
Extortion.
Pretty much. But the evidence against Lewis didn't really prove anything. So he was convicted for extortion, but they could never prove that he was even in Chicago when the murders happened.
So we don't know. Was he just taking advantage, or was he the one behind it all?
That's the mystery. And then there's Roger Arnold. Now, he had cyanide and weapons.
Seems like a pretty strong connection.
Right, you would think.
But
there's nothing that actually links him to the Tylenol poisonings.
Another dead end. It's wild how a case can have so many leads, but still be unsolved.
Sometimes you just can't put the pieces together. But we don't have a solution. This case still matters.
Right. I mean, one of the biggest effects was how it changed consumer safety.
For sure. It was a turning point. Before all this, tamper-proof packaging basically didn't exist.
That's crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
With all the seals and wrappers and stuff.
Totally. 1982. Totally different. The Tylenol murders made the FDA step in.
And it wasn't just medicine. This changed everything.
Right. Yeah. It went way beyond just medicine, like a new standard for everything. All the safety seals, foil wrappers, those childproof caps, all that came from what happened back then.
Wow. Amazing how something so awful could lead to such a big positive change.
It shows what can happen when people come together and realize things need to change. Like the Tylenol murders made companies take responsibility for their products.
And the FDA too, right? They had
they had to act fast, new regulations, tamper-evident packaging, all that. It was huge for getting back public trust.
But it wasn't just regulations and packaging.
Right.
It changed how people shopped.
Suddenly, people were looking at everything really carefully for signs of tampering. Like, is this safe? What about this? And they wanted companies to be more honest.
Must have been a crazy time to be a shopper.
Yeah.
Like, not knowing if anything was safe.
It really was a turning point in how we see the things we buy. Like, we couldn't just trust brands anymore. We had to pay attention and make good choices.
Why would that change? It's still with us today.
Right. Oh, for sure. We know about recalls, safety warnings. We research stuff before we buy it.
Because of the Tylenol murders. We're all smarter shoppers.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. This tragedy made us face the facts about how vulnerable we are and demand better protection.
But we can't forget, the people who lost their lives, families, communities.
Exactly. It's important to remember that even with all the talk about safety and companies, this story is really about the victims and the pain that their families went through.
They were robbed. It's so senseless and cruel. And then they have to live with An unsolved case for so long.
It's a lot to carry. No closure, no answers. Did the killer act alone? What was their motive? These are questions that they still think about, and so do investigators.
It left a mark on everyone, not just the families, but the whole country. It's like this unease about safety.
Yeah, like a reminder that even when we try to be safe, there are still weak spots, and people who will take advantage. It can change everything in a moment.
It makes you think, you know, something so simple like taking a pill to get into something so terrible.
It really does. It makes you question everything. The things we use, the companies, the people who are supposed to protect us.
And it reminds us that even though we've come a long way with safety, we can't ever let our guard down. We have to keep working to prevent something like this from happening again.
Absolutely. We have to be careful, ask questions, and demand better safety all the time.
So what can we learn from all of this, from the tragedy, and from how people responded?
I think the Tylenol murders show us how fragile trust is. The trust we have in the products we use, the companies, the systems that are supposed to keep us safe, it can all disappear just like that.
And once it's gone, it's really hard to get it back.
It really is. Makes you wonder, will this case ever be solved?
I know. It's like this mystery that keeps investigators up at night.
Maybe. Technology is the answer, like DNA analysis. It's changed everything.
Right.
Maybe there's new evidence hiding in the old stuff.
Wouldn't that be something? After all this time, science could be the key for the families, for justice.
Imagine that. Finally knowing who did it, why they did it, closure.
It's hard to grasp. This person has lived with this for so long, 7 lives, a whole nation affected.
It's a lot. Shows you how complicated people are. The darkness, that can be hidden inside anyone. Scary to think about.
That's what's so interesting about true crime, isn't it? You have to face the hard truths about people, the good and the bad.
It's like going into the darkest places of the human mind, trying to make sense of things. But even when we don't get answers, there's always something to learn.
Yeah, the Tylenol murders, as awful as they were, showed us how important it is to be careful, to work together, to make things safer.
It reminds us that even when terrible things happen, we can change. We can find new ways to protect ourselves. And maybe someday justice will come and the truth will be out there.
Well, everyone, that's our deep dive into the Tylenol murders, one of those cases that still haunts us. Hopefully, this episode gave you something to think about, maybe even made you want to learn more.
Like we always say, every case, every story tells us something about ourselves, about the world, about how important justice is.
If you liked this twisted tale from CrimePod Castle, hit that like button, leave a comment, share it, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And check out our YouTube channel for more deep dives into the world of true crime. Stay curious, stay safe. And remember, the scariest mysteries are sometimes right in front of us.